some can be deeper, but it's not worth going deeper unless you find them.
So when you say that, it's kind of like just that natural mulch that's...
Yeah.
Right. Right. Hold the mulch back and you should be able to see them. You roll the moss back, just roll the moss back, you should be able to see them if they're there.
Wow.
You do that carefully, then you can roll it back.
I was digging a garden right next to a wild hazelnut, and I found several of them almost a foot deep in the roots. They were perfectly round and covered with brown, and then as soon as you scrape the surface, they're white underneath. This was during the summertime, so they were immature.
The only reason he found this truffle, of course, is the dog smelled it. You and I out there with a rake, probably number one, we would never be raking in that spot because it's got grass and stuff there, and it's not a likely spot.
Yeah, if you've ever tried to rake with it where there's grass, oh, forget it.
Yeah. So the only way you're going to find the deep truffles, and probably the big, the treasure truffles, is with an animal, a trained animal. I got one more video. And this is shows a little bit. This has got Paul Stamets in it.
Goodness, I didn't know he was so small and fuzzy.
Paul comes on later.
Oh.
I don't think that's a trained squirrel. That's just a regular red. That's not a flying squirrel either.
No, that's
Red.
That's probably a Douglas
That
squirrel
squirrel is training us right now.
or chickaroo.
Yeah.
Give me that.
I've seen ground squirrels, the golden mountain ground squirrels eat truffles too.
Take it off.
This is very special. I just encountered this squirrel digging up Fuji's mushrooms. Squirrels eat mushrooms, and the mushrooms are very scentful. And the squirrel was digging, as we're walking along the trail here in the Old Growth Forest, digging up a mushroom. And so, hypogeous fungi are subterranean mushrooms, and they're like little puffballs. And here he took one of them, and here is another one. It's very, very small, but these are mycorrhizal mushrooms. They grow in association with the roots of trees. And these hypogeous fungi are very important for squirrels, especially for flying squirrels. And it's part of the food chain that leads to the spotted owl. The spotted owl is a predator against the flying squirrel, and the flying squirrels and other squirrels consume hypogeous fungi. So the entire food chain leads up to the spotted owl. It shows you how important fungi are for the Old Growth Forest, and especially for indicator species in the Old Growth Forest.
Now look at this.
Oh yeah. Inside, there's a spore-producing layer all on the inside, and so when these things are popped open, they consume them. But the spores then goes through the squirrel's gut, and so the squirrel pellet or the squirrel poop then, when it's placed on the ground, becomes the site where the spores then germinate. They have a little fecal pellet, and it's very nutritious. And this is one way these hypogeous fungi spread themselves, is using squirrels and mammals. So not only humans are attracted to mushrooms, but most mammals are, I would dare say, from bears, to all sorts of other, quadruped and bipedal mammals engage fungi as a food source.
See how it's soft?
Oh, it's pretty substantial. Mushrooms have up to 40% protein. And they're very high in vitamin D complexes. And also, upon exposure to sunlight, they produce vitamin D, which is very hard in the food chain to find, very important for your immune system.
I would say that's not a true truffle.
Now, he was saying old growth forest.
That's right. He's in an old growth forest. So I don't think that's Oregon.
Okay. You could probably. I'm not sure, but I think you could probably find the true truffles in the old growth forests. But even if you can't find the true truffles in old growth forests, there's literally thousands of different kinds of truffles, and so they will be in old growth forests, and so that's where you get the squirrel spotted owl connection, where the squirrel eats the truffle, spotted owl or any kind of owl, or eagle or
the
whatever.
barred owl is actually a sister species to the spotted owl. It's much more common in lowlands. It's very common in Olympia. The spotted owl actually, like in Washington State, we're talking about less than 120 pairs.
Right.
And we use the spotted owl a lot in our demonstrations because it's endangered and people are aware of it. But the barred owl is by far the most common. And the barred owls actually prey on spotted owls.
So yeah, but so an owl could take a truffle and eat the squirrel and with the truffle, and then fly over to the next valley or the next mountain and poop it out and put the spores where they weren't before. So that way the truffle gets to travel a little further, a little faster.
Well, we probably couldn't even rake in an old growth forest anyway.
There's not that much old growth forest.
Yeah, it's in the forest one.
Most of
Wouldn't
it's
be allowed to do
protected.
that.
There is. Most of the oak growth forests I know of, if you got caught breaking, you'd get
Yeah.
fined. But most of the mature, forests that we do see, they're not old growth, so you wouldn't have to.
Well, put it this way, when I'm walking around and I see clear truffle sign, no matter what kind of forest it's in, I'm always curious to see what's under there. So I always reach down and pull the duff back a little bit to see what I can find. Sometimes I find something.
You're not doing with those
Not
guys.
that I don't necessarily have a rake. I sometimes use my hands.
I come
So
equipped
that's
with
all I
rakes.
have. Katie, do you still want to add what you had on what you did on that truffle foray in Oregon? Or?
Well, I actually spent, quite a while trying to search for Richard, because I remembered he had come last year with some truffles, and I was interested in looking for some. And he suggested going on this foray with the North. He suggested that they were having one and that it might be a good idea. So Jeff and I went down. It was Beaver Creek, Oregon, to this tree farm where Nats was having the foray. And they gave us a little bit of information for people who had never done it before.
Matt, one of the authors of this book, was there.
Yeah, as it turns out, Matt Trapp was the guy who was sort of telling us, and then Richard showed up, so he very kindly let us tag along with him for most of the day and helped us figure out how to dig and where to dig and what to do. One of the things I did discover was the place where they let us truffle, the guy has a lot of people come in to look for truffles, so he had a lot of rakes that you could use. And this particular kind of rake I found very useful because as you were raking, it's called a 4-tine cultivator, I discovered when I went to the hardware store looking for one. It was very easy to drag the duff back with this sort of rake, whereas there's another rake that has longer, rounder tines called a potato fork that wanted to dig in. So instead of just scraping the duff back, it wanted to immediately down into the dirt. So I didn't like using that rake as well. I just got this one at True Value so that, in fact, it's plain as a whistle. I haven't actually gone out with it yet. It's been kind of rainy since I bought it. But so I thought that might be useful information. I tried out a couple rakes on purpose just so I could see what I liked better, and this one seemed to work much better.